Blog Talk Radio.
Read it. Verse 12. Amos chapter 8, verse 12. And they shall wander from sea to sea.
And they shall wander from sea to sea. That means you're going from this place to this place. Well, let me go over here. Oh, Islam, I don't know. I don't like that. Well, let me go over to the Christian church. Oh, I don't know. Well, maybe let me go into Hinduism. Well, I don't know. I don't like this church because this preacher said this. I don't like this church because this preacher said that. Let me tell you, if you were in the Word, it wouldn't matter what the preacher was saying. If you was in the Word, you'll be able to see over what he's teaching. But you're going from sea to sea, all over the place. Read.
Amos chapter 8, verse 12. And they shall wander from sea to sea, and from the north even to the east.
Okay.
They shall run to and fro to seek the word of the Most High, and shall not find it.
You're going to wish one day you was able to sit in your cushy house and cut on your computer and see the word of the Most High. You're going to long for that time. You're going to wish you had that opportunity. Soon reading the Bible is going to be against the law of the earth. Soon. They're moving everyone into a new age movement. And the only thing you can believe in is yourself. Is yourself. And you are being programmed. That's going to be the belief system. Yourself. That's the new age movement. How grim and dark the government of this earth is. That all of them are in league and are in bed with Satan. That's the truth. Not one of them are with the Most High. Why? Because this kingdom was given into the hand of Satan. Job 9 and 24 tells you the earth was given into the hand of the wicked. So in order for you to rule in this government, you must go to Satan to get your power. He tried to offer it to Christ. Christ denied it. But who took it? All the governments in this earth who will soon pay. They live lavishly in this earth off the bones, blood, sweat, and tears of the children of Israel. Yes, but now they have to pay. It's time. All these wars in the earth are culminating. They're leading to their own demise. And where this is the people with no weapon. This is our weapon. The only thing we have is this, Christ, in the name of the Most High, and we'll win.
And it's the music of the Gathering of Christ Church from the CD. I don't know where that CD is found. I got to get with them and check that out because it's all good. I just love that song. I know you enjoy it too. And it's the Gathering of Christ. You can find them and other artists we feature right here on our show page link, or you can just hit them up at www.gatheringofchrist.org. Well, good evening, good afternoon, good morning to you and yours, wherever you are on the World Wide Web. You are listening to Let's Talk, brought to you by the Men Empowered Organization on the Blog Talk Radio Network at blogtalkradio.com. My name is Maurice Herron, and I am your host for another fantastic 90 minutes of absolute knowledge and truth here on the Men Empowered Radio Show. It is a Wednesday, November the 23rd, 2011. And if you'd like to join in on our show conversation, you can hit us up while we are live at 347-205-9279. Or for those of you all who are joining us right there in the chat room, you can make your comments right there anytime right here on Blog Talk Radio /Men Empowered. So if you're ready to make a comment, you can go ahead and press 1 or just wait till we go ahead and take a break after we play a few of our title teachings that we have for you tonight, and it's going to be all good. Tonight is the Gathering of Christ, the very best of the Gathering of Christ Church, and we are going to get into it on Esau and Jacob. Who are Esau and who is Jacob? We're going to discuss that tonight. And as always, our office here at the Men Empowered Organization is area code 504-484-9388, as well as our email address is menempoweredtoprosper@yahoo.com. And yes, we are on myspace.com and twitter.com. And yours truly, Maurice Herron, is on facebook.com. Okay, for those of you all who are joining us for the very first time, you know I am a student at the Hebrew Academy taught by the Gathering of Christ Church, and they gave me permission to play any of their audios and videos for our listening audience, and I hope and I know that you are going to enjoy this. It is Esau and Jacob. We're going to have a total of 9 parts that we're going to play. Hopefully we'll get to all of them tonight, but if not, we will finish it up tomorrow night. We'll be right here on Thursday night. That's right, we'll be here on Thursday night. Okay, so we're going to get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Elder Rakashia and Elder Lawyer, the Gathering of Christ Church, right here on the Men Empowered Radio Show.
Identifying the synagogue of Satan, all right, without, abrasively talking down on someone or calling them names. What we did, we went into history to show the track record of the powers and the Jewish powers who are ruling in the earth today. So, it leads us to a lesson we are about to do called the war. All right? What we will attempt to do is to show you the beginning of this war according to the Bible, and show you how this impending war would actually lead to the deliverance of God's people. Now, it's called the war, and when we look at the news and see all these pretexts for so-called war, be it terrorists or terrorist activity or anything they're saying, you will find out that those things are really a smoke screen. It's a total mirage hiding the real attack that's in the earth against God's people. Okay, there's nobody in the earth looking to blow someone up because you're dealing with a different religion. There's no one doing any terrorist activity or anything like that. That's all government planned as a pretext so that you can't focus on what they're doing and what they have always been doing to the elect and those who could see. There's 2 types of people in this earth. There's people who care and understand and who will fight. Those are they that the powers of this earth are very afraid of. Then you have the rest, which is the 90%. The government powers have no fear of the 90% because these people are easily controlled. They have no knowledge and don't care to know. And they are in too much fear to even think about the war that's against them. So therefore, the government propaganda has worked fine and great on the 90%. So they're not looking to focus on the masses. They're looking for that small percentage who can understand and perceive and put things together to show the masses. We believe, according to the Most High, that we were born in this day and time to bring forth this particular information. Now, the Bible says there's nothing new under the sun. So in order for us to understand this impending war that we've always been in, we must go into history. Let's go to Ecclesiastes in the Bible, the 1st chapter. And I'm going to say this, brothers and sisters. Once we go through this lesson, be prepared to download this lesson and hold it. And if anything happens where they cancel us or take this down or whatever the case is, you can upload it to your personal YouTube accounts and make as many videos as you can to put it out. If you have to put it out on CD and give it to others, do so. But we're going to draw a line from the beginning up until the pending war. We're going to use history. We're going to use the Bible. We'll use the book of Jasher. Okay? And we'll also use modern day history and events to paint a picture so you'll understand exactly where we are according to prophecy and how soon the Lord will return according to prophecy, when the time of his coming. Let's go to Ecclesiastes and read the first chapter, and let's start at the 9th verse. Read it.
Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 9. The thing that has been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done.
The things that have been is that what shall be. And the things that were done is those things that shall be done. Read.
And there is no new thing under the sun.
The Bible tells us that there's no new thing under the sun, which means things really don't change that much. People don't change that much from generation to generation. They would make you believe that the Bible was ancient times and we can't think like that anymore and so many things have changed. They're lying. They have dealt with the psychosis or the psychological profile of man, and they realize that people have always been the same regardless of age or time since the beginning. Read.
Verse 10. Is there anything whereof it may be said, see this is new?
Is there anything that we could say, see, this is new? So the things that the governments are doing in the earth today are the things the governments have always done. The people's reaction to government have always been the same reaction. That's why they perpetually do the same thing over and over again. If the people start realizing and understanding that something is corrupt or wrong, they start blowing things up so that people can go into fear and rally behind the government. It's the same thing over and over. The patriotism game. It's the same thing over and over, and they're the people behind it. Okay? Now, I'm going to show you how the powers, the satanic powers, play on our ignorance, focusing on the 90%. They play on our ignorance, but they also play on the fact that we understand to some degree and believe the Bible. We all understand that in the Bible, in the last days, it's prophesied that all nations are going to come up against the children of Israel. Now, I'm going to deal with that in the Bible. But I'm going to show you how the churches and the powers that be deceitfully use this information. They know that all the nations, according to the Bible at the end, will come against God's people, Israel. But I'm going to show you how they know that. This is the piece they don't teach you in the church. But this is how the powers deceive the people. They made everyone in the earth believe that they were the Jews or the Israelites, so that they can be protected by default at the very end while they are attacking everyone else. Now think about that. That's diabolical, but it's very smart. If the Bible says that all nations are going to come up against Israel at the very end and that God will protect them, then if they can say that they are Israel instead of being Romans, they'll be protected by all governments of the earth as well as the religious institutions. So there's a shield or protection around them that you can't attack them because of who everyone thinks they are. Oh, what deception. While they are executing the wars and financing the wars, they have an automatic protection in place that will stop the people from attacking the attackers. Yeah. But really, the people who are the fulfillment of the prophecy are being attacked, and no one is protecting them. No one is protecting the real Israel that all the nations are coming up against to destroy. I sat back this morning, I thought about this, and I said, you know what? Through the Spirit of the Most High this Sabbath, I'm going to go into this every way I know how. And I hope that through the Spirit of the Most High, this speaks to brothers and sisters' heart all around the earth to understand what time we're in. Regardless of what you feel, regardless of what you think, today we will give you information that's beneficial for your life. And the information we will give you will help you prepare for the time to come. That's the whole point of this. We don't ask anything in return but for you to understand and prepare. Let's go back to the beginning. Because this war didn't start with nations. This war started in the belly of a black woman named Rebecca. It started in the belly of a sister named Rebecca. Let's go back to Genesis, the 25th chapter. And let me make this clear. I'm not here race baiting. I'm just telling you the truth. Okay? This pending war is racial. It have always been racial. It's just that what side of the race you're going to stand on. You're going to stand on the side, the race of Christ, or you're going to stand on the side of the race that was trying to kill Christ at his birth. Because that's what it was. It was genocide when they was looking to racially destroy the king of Israel. That was racial. It was racial when the Hamites wanted to destroy Moses and kill them all in fear that the king would come through the loins of Jacob. You think that's changed? There's nothing new under the sun. They're looking to destroy Jacob today and mass genocide. That's really the plan. But if you don't know history, you will be on the wrong side of history. Now, I'm going back to the beginning with this struggle in the womb. And I'm going to show you beyond any shadow of a doubt that that same struggle happens today. We're going to give you the history of Jacob and Esau. And we're going to show you how Jacob operates. And we're going to show you how Esau operates. That's the war. That's the war. All right? Now, the problem is you have shields on both sides. You have those of Esau who would come through and work with the children of Israel and work with Christ's people to help protect them in that time of trouble. And you'll have some who would come and infiltrate to destroy in that time of trouble. And you have that on both sides. Even Jacob. You have Jacob who will sell their own brother out for this system. That happens in this earth. You have Jacob say, well, listen, don't worry about the Bible. Don't look at the Bible. But let me tell you, all the other nations are just players in the game. But when it's prophetic and comes to worldwide domination, there's really a war between two. Just two. Jacob and Esau. Let's go to Genesis 25.
Genesis chapter 25, verse 20. And Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian of Padan Aram, the sister of Laban, the Syrian. And Isaac entreated the Most High for his wife, because she was barren. And the Most High was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived.
So what happened here is Isaac prayed to the Most High because regardless of how many tries, they were trying to have a child and couldn't. She was barren. So Isaac prayed to the Most High, and Rebekah became pregnant. Read.
Verse 22. And the children struggled together within it.
They fought in the woman's womb. What were they fighting for? They were fighting for dominion and rulership in the woman's womb. Read.
And she said, if it be so, Why am I thus?
So if I'm blessed to have a child when I couldn't, why am I going through these unorthodox, these serious pains? Read.
And she went to inquire of the Most High.
So she went to pray to the Most High to get some spiritual answer. Read.
Verse 23. And the Most High said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb.
And the Most High told her, there's 2 separate nationalities within you. Now, this is the first time this has ever happened in history in which you would have 2 different distinct DNA strands, 2 distinct nationalities, and one that comes from one black woman and one black man. That was unheard of, to have a separate nationality in the same womb. But that's what happened here. So the Most High says, listen, you got 2 children in your womb that's fighting against each other. They're 2 distinct nationalities. Read.
And 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels.
2 distinct people shall be separated from birth. That means these children will not be able to coexist without fighting. Read.
And the one people shall be stronger than the other people.
You would have one people who would be physically stronger than the other people. Okay? And see, and that's why they came up with all these, what you would call social engineering and medicines and pharmacy and vaccinations to break down the stronger gene pool. That's a war tactic. If they know these people are physically strong and they can't take these people physically, then they would have to break them down genetically. That's what this thing is all about, brothers and sisters. It's that same war that I'm reading about, and I'm going to prove it. Read.
And the elder shall serve the younger.
And it was meant that the firstborn that would come out would actually serve the younger brother. So now, let's sit back. Let's not rush this. Let's just think about this for a second. For the first time, a child that comes out first would not be heir to his father's inheritance. Now think about that. He would not be heir to his father's dominion. So you got 2 children struggling to come out first because, you know, whoever comes out first gets the promises of Abraham. But the Most High did 2 things that he never did before. He put 2 separate nations in one womb, and he also made sure that the first one that come out would not be the promised son. All that fighting, you get out first, and you are not the promised seed. And see, and that's why in this society today, you notice in their institutions, they try to downplay the Bible, have you question the Bible, and try to say that the Bible, you don't know who really wrote the Bible is tampered with. This is why they're putting those things out there. You have some people who's in charge of these institutions who have a problem with God giving the promise to the second born, to the one that came out second. Now, if he would have come out and been the promise, then of course, there would be nothing wrong with the Bible right now. It would be the perfect book. Read.
Verse 24. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, the twins were in her womb, and the first came out red.
Now the first, when it says the first came out red, the first is the child that would not get the promise. So the first came out red. Now this is the first, another first. There's a lot of firsts happening in this chapter here. That's why you have to sit back and really examine this chapter. There's a lot of firsts in this chapter. When it says that the first came out red, and they call his name what?
And the first came out red all over like an hairy garment, and they called his name Esau.
So he was red from head to toe, which means he had a lack of melanin. Another first in this earth. in which a person can be identified entirely different than every other person who was born before that time. Now, that's why it describes Esau and not describe the color of Jacob, because Jacob came out looking like everyone else. So here it is, Esau would have a distinction that would separate him from the rest of the races in the earth that were people of color at that time. Read.
Verse 26. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel.
And it says, after that came his brother out. Now you notice it did not describe Jacob. Why? Because Jacob looked like everyone else. But it shows something distinct again. That Jacob took hold of Esau's heel. So this was prophetic according to this particular event. You would have to go to 2nd Esdras, the 6th chapter in the Apocrypha, 8 and 9, to understand what this struggle was about. Why did Jacob take hold of Esau's heel? Read 2nd Esdras 6, the 8th verse and the 9th verse.
2nd Esdras.
And then we're going back, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you. Go ahead.
2nd Esdras, chapter 6, verse 8. And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau.
What we read in Genesis 25, why did he grab Esau's heel? Read.
For Esau is the end of the world.
Because the head is the top and the feet is the end. So he grabbed his heel to show you that Esau is the end of the world. What is this showing? That the Edomites would be ruling at the end of the world. Now, that identifies who Esau is in the earth. Because Esau would have the power to rule the earth at the very end. Esau is the end of the world, and what comes after Esau?
And Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth.
And Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Then Christ brings the kingdom for Israel, and Jacob gets the promises, proving to you that Esau would be ruling right before the coming of Christ. And who can get around that? There's no way around that. If you understand prophecy, you know who Esau is in the earth. Esau is the end of the world. So if you want to find out who is Esau, look who's ruling at the end of the world, because we know Jacob is coming. Once Christ comes, he's bringing Jacob's kingdom, and that will be without separation. No sooner as Esau falls, Jacob will receive the promises. It's that simple. Now that's if you believe the Bible. Now, if the European powers that are ruling the earth are not Esau, where is he? Where is Esau? Because there's no place in the Bible that says Japheth is going to take God's people in their cargo slave ships. All right? There's no place in the Bible that says Ham and the other nations are going to be ruling over Israel in the last days. Okay? Now in Psalms 83, it identifies all the nations who would be over Israel, because don't forget, there's a prophecy of all the nations together at the very end fighting against Jacob. And we're going to go into that. But who's at the helm of this fight against Jacob? Esau is. That's why we're dubbing this and naming this the war. And we're going to handle this, we're going to take our time with it and break down every piece of this prophecy leading up into this war with Iran. We're going to try to make sure not one stone be uncovered with this lesson. Let's show you some attributes of Jacob and Esau. And I'm going through a lot of these that you've seen before because they erased it and canceled us off of Justin TV once we broke it down. If we break down every part of it, then they can't escape. The powers of this earth cannot escape and cannot escape being identified as the nemesis of God's people. Finish reading in Genesis 25.
Genesis chapter 25, verse 26. And after that came his brother out,
Go ahead.
and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob.
And his name was called Jacob, which means Ya'iqua. Now the Most High called him Ya'iqua because he would need to be Ya'iqua, a supplanter, to actually get the promises that was told to Rebekah. He would need to supplant his brother. You notice after he received the blessing and he received the birthright, the Most High changed his name. But religion and Christianity would want to always remember Jacob as the supplanter. He had to become the supplanter. He had to be born the supplanter because he came out second. In order for him to fulfill the prophecy of the second being the firstborn, he would need to supplant his brother Esau. It was prophetic before they were born. How do you know that? Hold that and go to Romans 9 and 11.
Romans chapter 9, verse 11.
Romans 9 and 11. Read it.
For the children being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil.
So you can't say it's anything Jacob or Esau did because, number one, the promises was given to Rebekah. She was told what was going to happen with the two children when they were in the womb, right, before they were born. Read that again.
For the children being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil.
So before they did any good or evil, read.
That the purpose of the Most High, according to election, might stand.
It was the purpose of the Most High, read.
Not of works,
Not of works,
but of him that calleth.
but it was the Most High that called. Read.
It was said unto her,
It was said unto Rebekah before the children was born, before they did anything. Read.
the elder shall serve the younger.
It was told to this woman that the elder child would serve the younger child. That didn't happen yet in the earth. But it will happen according to prophecy. Read.
As it is written.
As it is what?
As it is written.
As it is written. You cannot take the ink off of these pages. As it is written what?
Jacob have I loved.
Jacob did the Most High love because he understood that his son would come through Jacob from the beginning. He knew that his son would not come from Esau or Ishmael or any other nation. He knew that the Savior was coming through Jacob. Jacob have I loved, read.
But Esau have I hated.
Why did he hate Esau? He hated Esau because Esau sought to go after God's people. And I'm going to prove that. He also hated Esau because of Esau's attributes to sin against the law purposely and to go against the will of the Most High. Now you do have Edomites who don't follow that will like Cornelius and who would follow truthfully in spirit and in truth. And then you have the rest. Go back to Genesis 25.
Genesis chapter 25, verse 27.
Go ahead.
And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter.
He was a what?
And Esau was a cunning hunter.
Here is the attributes of the two separate nations. Esau became a cunning hunter. That's one attribute that you know the powers that be today, the Caucasoid or the European powers have. Okay, they can hunt. They go into a middle of a park someplace, or go into a middle of a farm or some type of wooded area. Who would know to make something to call duck that sounds just like a duck? Who would do that? Or throw deer pee on them, a female deer pee, so a male buck can come near you. Who would do that? That's not a normal thing that people say, you know what, I'm going to take some deer pee and throw over me so that I can get a male buck to come near me to shoot. Also, their weaponry is superior above all nations. That's the reason why they're ruling. Because that was their blessing. Their blessing is that they would live through blood and live through the sword. I'm going to prove that. If it wasn't for their weaponry, the other nations would have been took them down with no problem. Okay? because they're not physically stronger than everyone else. They don't outnumber everyone else. They're the smallest amongst all the nations. But they have superior weaponry. He was a cunning what?
Cunning hunter.
A cunning hunter. See, these are attributes that are actually handed down to the children. Read.
A man of the field.
A man of the field.
And Jacob was a plain man, dwelling in tents.
And Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. Listen, Jacob chilled at home. He wasn't all out there playing and jumping out of trees and shooting stuff and all. He wasn't dealing like that. Okay? But Esau liked that rush, that adrenaline rush, being all out in the woods and with nature and running around and jumping on animals and all that and crocodile wrestling. And no. Jacob wasn't operating like that. Okay? So here is the attributes of Jacob and Esau. Now listen, I'm not being facetious, I'm not being funny, I'm just telling you like it is, because you have some people out there all over the earth that's trying to overt the prophecy or trying to say that what we're teaching is not correct. And by default, people have actually taken their vision or eyes off of the people who are really being attacked in this earth. We have to bring this around full circle, and we're going to use history to do it. Let's go into, and we're going to use the Bible. I hope you Christians out there, because you can give this to your Christian pastor. Let's get the one in Hebrews. Finish reading. Finish reading, because there's something I want to bring out of Genesis first.
Genesis chapter 25, verse 28.
Go ahead.
And Isaac loved Esau because he did eat of his venison.
Isaac loved Esau because Esau is the one that brought the meat home. He brought the food home. Read.
But Rebekah loved Jacob.
Why did Rebekah love Jacob, the mother? Because she was told before the children was born which child would be the one to protect, which child would actually be the chosen and heir of the promises. Read.
Verse 29. And Jacob sowed pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint.
Go ahead.
And Esau said to Jacob, Feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage.
And it says that red pottage because there was blood and uncooked meat in the pottage. That's what made it red, blood. So he said, feed me with that same red pottage, that's rare meat. Now we know according to the law, according to the Bible, it's against the law to eat meat with blood in it. You must cook the blood out of it because the blood holds the soul. The blood holds the soul. The blood is the soul of man. So you must cook the blood out. But if you are in a what you would call a hunter or a warrior's mentality, you eat the blood to take the spirit of the animal you kill. Or eat like carnivores, like cannibalism, so you can it's like give you some type of strength and power that you're eating blood and taking the spirit of creation. Jacob wasn't going out like that. Esau was eating the rare meat. Now listen, that ain't none of my business. If you got some meat you paid for, you can eat it any way you want. I'm not judging that. What I'm saying is according to the law, you're supposed to cook it well. Okay? And Esau said, feed me with that red pottage. Listen, I want that thing with blood in it. Read.
For I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom.
His name was called Edom. Edom means red. Now let me show you some of the deceptions of the Masoretes, which are the Jewish powers and the Jewish scribes who wanted to deceive the people into believing that they were Jacob instead of Esau. When you look at the Hebrew word Edom, it's Adawam. That's 4 Hebrew letters. When they got our records, they inscribed Edom or Idawam for Ruddy, for David and other people in the scripture so that you can believe that Esau was Jacob. But we can see right here in Genesis 25 that Jacob and Edom are two separate nations. Also, Idawam sounds close in Hebrew to Adam, which is Adam. But Adam have 3 Hebrew letters, and Idawam have 4 Hebrew letters. But they know the average layman is not going to pick that up. So they made people believe that Adam was Edom, or a red man, by taking out 1 letter in certain places or adding 1 letter in certain places when it came to Adam's name in certain places in the Bible. Total deception. That's why it's important to know that Hebrew. How can Adam be Edom when Edom came down the line and was born out of Jacob? Impossible. See, and that's how we can break down the deception of the Masoretes, who would try to use ruddy as an excuse to say, well, listen, it say David was ruddy, so he must have been red. Ruddy leads to Edom. But how can Edom be Jacob? Impossible. I just wanted to inject that for those who run into those guys who would like to say, look at this ruddy, red. Jacob was not red. Jacob was not ruddy. Esau was. All right? So that's how you break that down. And the Bibles tell you that them using the pen, the scribes will use their pen in vain. That's Ezekiel. Jeremiah 8 and 8. Thank you. Read.
Genesis chapter 25, verse 31.
Go ahead.
And Jacob said, sell me this day thy birthright.
So Jacob said, listen, sell me your birthright. You want to eat? You want to live? Give me your birthright. So he was supplanting Esau. And of course, Esau had a choice here. He could have said, well, you know what? Nah. I value the birthright that I came out first. The birthright I fought. I fought you in the womb for. What did Esau say?
Verse 32. And Esau said, behold, I am at the point to die.
He said, I'm about to die anyway. No faith. Read.
And what profit shall this birthright do to me?
What profit will this birthright do to me? So he had no faith in the Most High. Read.
And Jacob said, swear to me this day. And he sware unto him. And he sold his birthright unto Jacob.
And he sold his birthright to Jacob. Read.
Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he did eat and drink.
So Jacob actually accomplished his part of the agreement. So what did Jacob do wrong? He gave Esau exactly what Esau asked for. So how can Esau come back later and say, well, I was tricked? See, and that's what the churches are teaching. They try to make you think Jacob was the bad one. Jacob was the evil one. Now, let's go into Hebrews real quick. Hold Genesis and go into Hebrews. Read.
Hebrews chapter 12, verse 15.
Go ahead.
Looking diligently, lest any man fail of the grace of the Most High.
Looking diligently, so that none of us can fall from the grace of the Most High. We must keep our eyes on the prize. Read.
Lest any root of bitterness springing up trouble you.
So this is what can turn us away from the Most High. If bitterness sprang up in us. So Esau, something happened to Esau that turned him all the way to Satan. What happens first? A bitter spirit comes up when you started feeling a certain type of way about another person. That bitterness springs in, and that's when Satan comes and say, okay, I'll take care of you. No one understands you, but I'll be here for you. It's that bitterness. Read.
And thereby many be defiled.
And that's how people are defiled, by becoming bitter. Read.
Verse 16. Lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau.
And that's why it says he hated Esau. Because Esau was a fornicator, and Esau also. Read it.
Or profane person as Esau.
And he was profane, and he teaches that. They push pornography. They push all types of wicked, evil acts and say it's okay. They push homosexuality and say that it's okay, it's the right. They push fornication and say it's all right. because bitterness sprang up in them. Now, instead of them following the law, they're going to be the adversary of the law in the earth. Read.
Who for one morsel of meat
And for one morsel of meat he did what?
sold his birthright.
Sold his birthright for a piece of meat. That's the New Testament there. Why? Because he became bitter. When he realized what his brother received, he got very, very, very upset. And it led on a course that would fight his own brother. And he put that course within his children and had his children continue the course in secret societies to fight against Jacob in the future. This is what this is really talking about, brother. The Illuminati and the Masons and all that are the children of Esau. They're at the helm or at the height of all secret societies. The Club of Rome, the Bilderbergs, all these people are Romans. The governments of Europe, the governments that are in Israel today, all these are Romans continuing the war that started in the black woman's womb. Now I'm going to bring this all the way around to the war that we're about to go into today. How this thing link in. And you think it's about this country or that country. No. They understand that Esau is the beginning of the world. And Esau is the end of the world. And Jacob is the beginning of it that follows. So these nations know that Jacob is about to rise. That's what these things is about right now. That's what all these wars are about. You know, they got to get all the power they can and all the weaponry and manpower they can to come against us before Christ returns. I'm going to prove this. Let's go back into Genesis and let's get. I'm not going to go into the blessing, but I'm going to show you what Esau promised to do after Jacob not only received the birthright, but also the blessing. In a nutshell, when you read Genesis 26 and 27 chapter, it lets you know that the mother dressed up Jacob like Esau to trick his father in his old age into giving Jacob the blessing at the very end. So now, by default, Jacob now received the promises that he told Rebekah he would give the second born. Esau was infuriated. He was entirely upset. He says, first you got my blessing, my birthright. Now I don't have a blessing. And he cried before his father Isaac and said, listen, is there anything you can give me? Anything? What did Isaac say he would give Esau?
And Isaac said unto, Genesis chapter 27, verse 32.
Genesis 27 and 32, read.
And Isaac his father said unto him, Who art thou?
Who art thou? Read.
And he said, I am thy son, thy firstborn Esau.
So Esau came with some venison after Jacob already received the blessing. So now Isaac couldn't see, and he said, man, who are you? He says, man, I'm Esau. I'm coming back to get my blessing. Now Isaac is like, man, Jacob, he's rightfully named Yaquah. Read.
Verse 33. And Isaac trembled very exceedingly and said, Who? Where is he that hath taken venison and brought it me? And I have eaten of all before thou camest.
Go ahead.
And have blessed him, yea, and he shall be blessed.
He says, I blessed him, and believe me, whoever I just talked to will be blessed. That was his brother Jacob. Read.
Verse 34. And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great and exceeding bitter cry.
He was upset.
And said unto his father, Bless me, even me also, O my father. And he said, Thy brother came with subtlety, and hath taken away thy blessing.
He says, your brother came in total subtlety. He was subtle, but he got your blessing. That's what Jacob means, Yaquah, to supplant. Read.
And he said, Is he not rightly named Jacob?
Is he not rightly named Jacob? Read.
For he hath supplanted me these 2 times.
And Esau said, he got me twice. Read.
He took away my birthright, and behold, now he hath taken away my blessing.
Go
and
ahead.
he said, Hast thou not reserved a blessing for me?
He said, Father, do you have at least one blessing for me? And don't forget, Isaac loved Esau. His firstborn, he used to go out and do the hunting and get the food for him. He loved Esau. So Esau's crying, saying, Dad, is there anything for me? Read.
Verse 37. And Isaac answered and said unto Esau, Behold, I have made him thy lord, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants, and with corn and wine have I sustained him. And what shall I do now unto thee, my son? And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father?
He said, can you give us one blessing? Read.
Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth.
Thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth. Now listen to this clearly. Go ahead.
And of the dew of heaven from above.
And the dew of heaven from above, to show you that they will be living in high habitation. High habitation. That's the mountains. You will get, okay, hold on, we'll make sure we got this. We don't want to break, we don't want to stop it now. We want to make sure we got everything here. One moment. We good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Finish reading. They with us. Come on.
Verse 40.
Go ahead.
And by thy sword shalt thou live.
And by thy sword shalt thou live. Which means they would need weaponry to have power in the earth. Now, that's common sense. If you have landmass that belong to you, there's no need to kill and steal to get land. That's common sense. So because Esau did not get the promises of the land of Canaan, by default he had to go into the land of Edom, near the mountains, Mount Seir. So, and that's why the European powers used the sword and weaponry to take other countries. Even, I'm going to show you when they went in to Europe. The Caucasians weren't the people that originally had Europe. They took Europe, eventually, from the Asians or the Japhetic people. Finish reading.
And by thy sword shalt thou live.
Go ahead. By the sword shalt thou live.
And shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion.
He said, and then he told Esau, it's going to come a time that you will have dominion in the earth. So he was telling Esau that at one time, Esau would have a rulership. Now Esau is having rulership today, but he don't want to identify himself as Esau. Because if he identified himself as Esau, people would ask the question, what are you doing in Israel, and why are we protecting you as the people that all the nations are going to come up against when you're not the people? Read.
And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck.
Go ahead.
And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him.
And Esau hated his own brother after this. Then what did Esau say?
And Esau said in his heart, The days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob.
So he said, he promised that one day he would kill his brother Jacob. That's the beginning of the war, brothers and sisters. That is the beginning of the war. Because of course, Esau wouldn't be able to destroy all the children of Jacob. But he would actually relay the plan down to his children, who would take on that banter and go against God's people. According to everything we've just went over, Esau is raging mad because his brother received the birthright. You have your Zondervan Bible Dictionary? Get Edom out of the Zondervan Bible Dictionary. Please, brothers and sisters, write down all this information, precept upon precept, line upon line, and all the history we want to give you today. You'll have everything you need after the day to understand the war.
Edom. The nation and its people were the descendants of Esau.
Edom. The nation and its people were the descendants of Esau. Now don't forget it, tell you in Genesis 25, 2 nations shall be in thy womb. Read.
He founded the country, so his name is equated with Edom.
His name is equated to Edom. Now what does it say about Edom as far as land mass?
The country was also called Seir, or Mount Seir, which was the name of the territory in which the Edomites lived.
Where did the Edomites live? In Mount Seir. We're going to show you that. This is one. I need you to go right here where it says Edom figures prominently in prophetic scriptures. What page are you on? There.
Page 142.
Page 142 in the Zondervan Bible Dictionary. You read?
Edom figures prominently in the prophetic scriptures.
Edom figured prominently in the prophetic scriptures. Read.
As the scene of great future judgments.
As the scene of great future judgments. To show you that Esau is still here. Read.
She is the only neighbor of the Israelites.
She's the only neighbor of the Israelites. Go ahead.
Who was not given any promise of mercy from the Most High.
She's the only nation that didn't receive any promise of mercy from the Most High. That's why it behooves any Edomite out there to follow the truth of Christ and steer away from all these religious and pagan rituals that you're dealing with and fall in the spirit of those who were learning under Paul. It behooves you. And not boast against the natural branches. You must get under the covenant to be protected, because I'll tell you, the future judgment is grim if you don't. So the prophecies are not just talking about a warning to the nations when it comes up to Israelites when it talks about the coming of Christ. God's people must warn all nations against the pending wrath to come. Let's go to Genesis 36 and show you how this war spread after Esau was dead. How did his children take up that banter against Israel to war against Israel? Read Genesis 36 and 1.
Genesis chapter 36 verse 1.
Go ahead.
Now these are the generations of Esau.
These are the generations of Esau. Read.
Esau, who is Edom.
Esau is who?
Who is Edom?
Esau is Edom. Read.
Esau took his wives of the daughters of Canaan. Adah, the daughter of Elon the Hittite.
Go down to the 10th verse.
Verse 10. These are the names of Esau's sons. Eliphaz, the son of Adah.
The 9th verse.
Verse 9. And these are the generations of Esau.
These are the generations of Esau. Read.
The father of the Edomites.
The father of the Edomites. That's a new nation that came in the earth after Jacob and Esau was born. You have the Ishmaelites now, you have the Israelites, and you have the Edomites. Okay? Now, I need you to go to Zepho in Genesis 36 so we can see who took on the banter against the children of Israel after Esau died, which is Eliphaz's son. Read.
Verse 11. And the sons of Eliphaz were
the sons of Eliphaz. Now, Eliphaz are whom we would call Amalek. Amalek today are the Khazarians, or the Jewish powers that lives in Israel today. They're the sons of Amalek. Of course they want to escape and lie to the people and say that they are Jews according to Judaism or religion. But you cannot become a nation based on religion conversion. You have to be born an Israelite. You can't be a religious Israelite. Okay, that's number one. Number two, they don't want you to know about Amalek because Amalek was the people whom the Most High told from the beginning to totally annihilate in the Old Testament, based on their constant, fervent spirit to destroy the children of Jacob. Amalek was warned against us in the past. Eliphaz is the father of these whom we speak. Read.
And the sons of Eliphaz were Teman, Omar, Zapho,
who?
Zapho, and Gatam and Kenaz.
Now, let's examine Zapho. What happened to Zapho? How did the Europeans get into Europe? Zapho is the key. And how do we know this? We go into the book of Jasher. Let's go to the book of Jasher, the 60th chapter.
Jasher, chapter 60, verse 1.
Read.
And when the year came round, being the 72nd year from the Israelites going down to Egypt.
The 72nd year from the time the Israelites went into Egypt. Now we're talking about approximately around the time of about 1912 BC. This is around the time 1912 BC that this happened. In Egypt at this time, you have Jacob, who had a dynasty during the Hyksos, and now our people are ruling in Egypt at this time, where Zapho came on the scene. Read.
And when the year came round, being the 72nd year from the Israelites going down to Egypt, after the death of Joseph.
After the death of Joseph, go ahead.
Zapho, the son of Eliphaz, the son of Esau, fled from Egypt, he and his men, and they went away. And he came to Africa, which is Dinhabah, to Antiochus, king of Africa.
Now, mind you, Zapho was being held prisoner there because there was a war where Esau's sons was fighting against Jacob. And Zapho was taken captive into Egypt. Why? Because we were in a certain land, and Zapho and Esau's children tried to kill our people. So we took Zapho hostage in Egypt. He escaped. Then he goes into Africa. And what happens next? Go to verse 7.
And it came to pass in those days, there was in the land of Kittim a man in the city of Uzina, whose name was Uzu, and he became degenerately deified by the children of Kittim. And the man died and had no son, only one daughter whose name was Janiah. And the damsel was exceedingly beautiful, comely and intelligent. There was none seen like her for beauty and wisdom throughout the land.
Yeah, go down to where Zapho goes into Kittim.
Verse 14. And Antiochus sent Lupus his brother, saying, Come to me.
Now we at Jasher, chapter again?
63.
Jasher 63, go ahead.
Verse 14.
Verse 14, read.
And Antiochus sent Lupus his brother, saying, Come to me with all thy men, and help me smite Zapho and all the children of Kittim, who have destroyed my men. And Lupus came with his whole army, a great force, to assist Antiochus, his brother, to fight Zapho and the children of Kittim. And Zapho and the children of Kittim heard this thing, and they were greatly afraid, and terror fell upon them. And Zapho also sent a letter to the land of Edom, to Adad the son of Bedad, king of Edom, and to all the children of Esau, saying, I have heard that Antiochus of Africa is coming to us with his brother for battle against us.
So the Africans was looking to fight against Chittim and Zapho, who was in league with Chittim, which is parts of Greece. And I'm going to show you the geographical location in a second. That was the first time Esau was in Europe. So he sent a letter to his brothers to help him fight against the Africans, the Hamites. So now his brothers would have an entrance into Europe or Asia. Now, get what you're getting there. Let me show them this map here. I have a map here of Kittim. This little island right here next to Greece that my finger's on. That is the first time Europeans or Caucasians went into Europe. I'm telling you the time right now. It's in the 20th century BC is when they first started going into Europe. They did not start in Europe. Then they started moving their way up into different areas. Zepho called for his brethren to go into Europe, which is actually Asia, brothers and sisters. This is how they got into Europe. We are reading it. Read.
Jasher chapter 61, verse 12.
61 and 12. Read it.
And when Zepho the son of Eliphaz saw that Angeas despaired of going forth to battle with the Egyptians, Zepho fled from Angeas from Africa, and he went and came unto Kittim.
So he went from Africa, and he fled into Kittim. That's the first time they went into Europe. This is how Esau's children went into Europe. And when they heard of a war of the Africans going against the Grecians, or in Kittim, then Esau sent a letter to his brothers in Mount Seir and say, listen, y'all have to come help me fight. Cunning hunter. Eventually, the Europeans supplanted the Asians and started pushing them further into the areas you see today. And they really did this under Alexander the Great, or Alexander the Greek. That's when they were able to accomplish it. But what we're reading here is the beginning of Caucasian presence in Europe. See, you can't dispute these scriptures here. Now, there's more. There's more. The book of Daniel will tell you about the beast that would come up when you read Daniel 7. You had the Greek Empire under Alexander the Greek. After Alexander the Greek, you had 4 generals that came out of him. Then later on down the line, near 33 BC, you have what we would call the Roman Empire. These are all children of the Idumeans. So when you see the word Idumea in the Bible, it's talking about Edom. It's talking about the same people who will be ruling at the end of the world. Hope you follow me here. Now, that leads us to Antiochus Epiphanes. Antiochus Epiphanes, you're talking to him, his time near about 100 and some odd years before Christ would come on the scene. He comes in. He destroys the temple. Before the temple is built again, he destroys the temple and starts setting up other nations within the temple in Jerusalem, leading to the Herodian dynasty, where Herod would circumvent and get a position over the Sanhedrin and become governor over our people. This is the first time you would have a European descent who was married to an Israelite over the children of Israel. That's the first occupation where you have another nation ruling over God's people during the time of Herod. What did Herod do? Herod sent the wise men to find Christ, to kill Christ. That's part of the war, brothers and sisters. They didn't want Christ to come into this earth. Why? Because Christ was going to give the promises that was told to Rebekah concerning Jacob. Think about this. You can't have the chosen king that prophesied to come in and give all rule to the brother. so he wanted them dead. He killed all the children 2 years back. Once he found that the wise men did not want to follow his rule and bring Christ, Yeshua, to him to be slain. When he seen that he was mocked of the wise men, he killed all the children 2 years back. Let's go to Revelations 12 and start at the first verse.
Revelations chapter 12, verse 1.
Read.
And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars.
The 12 stars represents the 12 tribes of Israel. I know some people don't like us talking about the 12 tribes of Israel. Listen, no one was complaining about the Jewish people being from Israel, even though there was no proof they were from there. Now it comes out where the true children of Israel is being identified. We are being labeled racist. When they're not racist, with them being the chosen and everyone else being lost. What's wrong with that picture? The 12 stars represent the 12 tribes of Israel, and we're here to tell you that the people in Israel are actually the people fighting against Israel. And we're going to prove it. Read.
Verse 12. And she being with child cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven.
There appeared another wonder in heaven. What's this wonder?
And behold, a great red dragon.
A great red dragon.
Having 7 heads and 10 horns.
The 7 heads represent the 7 mountains of Rome. The 10 horns represent the European powers that would come out of Rome. And you notice it says red dragon. Red, Esau, Edom. He ate the red pottage, and therefore his name was called Edom, red. To show you this beast or this empire would be the Edomites. Read.
Having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his head.
7 crowns upon his head. What is that showing you? That's showing you that these people would have dominion. Remember when Isaac told Esau that there's going to come a time where the yoke will be broke off of them and they would rule for a time? Now we're speaking of that time, where these people would eventually get rulership in the earth. They're in their rulership now. They have their crowns now. If you don't believe me, just look at what's going on in Buckingham Palace. Who have the crowns on?
Verse 4.
Read a little louder.
And his tail drew the 3rd part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them down to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born.
And we're talking about the war. As you can see, Herod wanted to kill the child before it was born, to show you he was working with the serpent. Who was Herod? He was an Idumean who infiltrated and became the governor over Israel. The Herodian dynasty were Edomites. They had Gentiles in the temple. Okay? And it's telling you right here that they wanted to devour the child before he was born. They were your war, brothers and sisters. Finish reading.
Verse 5. And she brought forth a man-child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron.
This is why they wanted to kill Christ. Because they knew it was through him the promises of Abraham would be fulfilled, and eventually Esau would lose his rulership. The Roman Empire, they would lose everything if they let this child come. They understood prophecy. Read.
And her child was caught up unto the Most High, and to his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness, and where she hath a place prepared of the Most High, that they should feed her there 1,260 days.
When you look at 1,260, that comes down to 1,260 years. When you add that 1,260 years to the time we fell in 70 AD, it leads you up to the 1300s when the European powers and the Arabs found our golden city of Timbuktu. That's when they started planning to take us down and to enslave us. It took them some time, but they had to find us first. We were the great kings in Africa. We were the great kings who fled from the Roman emperors, knowing that they were looking to kill and destroy us. This is what this war is really about, brothers and sisters. I'm going to bring this all the way around full circle to the war we are about to go into today. It's on every level. This war is just not on a military level. It's on every level. Read.
Verse 7. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven, and the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world.
He deceived the whole world. Read.
He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, Now is come salvation, and strength, and the kingdom of our God, and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down,
Go ahead.
which accused them before our God day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb.
So when Christ was crucified, Satan had no more power to go before the throne and accuse the brethren. Read.
And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb.
And we were overcame by the blood. So now through Christ's sacrifice, that stopped the war between God and his people. So from that point on, there will be a healing process to build the children of Israel again, to one day take the throne. And they understood this. Read.
And by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death.
They loved not their lives to the death. That's why the Romans wanted to kill the disciples and destroy the disciples, because not only was the Most High setting up Israel, through this truth, paganism was being destroyed. We were separating the Gentiles away from their gods and were empowering our force in Christ. It was a spiritual battle between the pagan religion and the new understanding of Christ that could tear down any religion. The Romans wasn't going to go for it. They started martyring and killing the disciples. Read.
Verse 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe unto the inhabitants of the earth.
Woe unto us that's living here in the earth. See, the angels are celebrating because Lucifer is Satan. He's not Lucifer anymore. He's Satan. Cannot come before the throne and accuse the brethren anymore. They were tired of his wretched behind going up into the heavenly realm, accusing us. So once Christ took his blood and shed it over the heavenly tabernacle, Satan had no more realm to go in at sundown before the angels and before the Most High and accuse us. But that didn't stop him from coming to war against us and the earth and the Most High's creation. So he linked up with the Roman Empire with his technology and his science to destroy us. Read.
Woe to the inhabitants of the earth.
Woe unto us. Why?
And of the sea. For the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath.
Go ahead.
Because he knoweth that he hath but a short time.
Because Satan have a short time now, and Christ can be back any second now, he don't care what he destroy in his attempt to destroy the image of the Most High. He don't care if every animal on earth gets destroyed. He don't care if the fishes in the sea get destroyed. As long as these people get destroyed, they're looking to totally annihilate the children of Israel. That's what this thing is about. Read.
Verse 13. And when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child.
No sooner as he couldn't get into the heavenly realm anymore, he started persecuting the people who had Christ. Since he couldn't war against Christ, he started fighting against God's people. Slavery, captivity, genocide, vaccination, fluoridated water, you name it, they're doing it. The attack on families, the rise of homosexuality, genocidal DNA testing, spying, in jailing, imprisonments. You think this thing started here? I'm just mentioning the things we have here. They've been doing this from generation to generation up until this time. Psychologically attacking us, saying that we're mentally incapable of ruling, lying and saying that they were the Egyptians because we didn't have the history at that time, or we were so disconnected from our history we believed anything they told us. It's over. You all are finished. You're done. We know now. Read.
Verse 14. And to the woman were given 2 great wings of an eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness.
So those who took heed of Christ's prophecy in Luke, the 21st chapter, they took heed, we took heed, and we fled into the wilderness. We fled into Africa. And that's common sense. If there's war and you have armies around you and they're looking to kill you, common sense will tell you to displace yourself to a safer realm so you can fight another day. Common sense. Well, no, I have faith. So I don't care how many people, armies around me, and who's trying to kill me, because I got to show my faith and sit here and get killed by these people to show my faith. No, you showing how simple you are. You're not showing your faith, because Christ said, when you're persecuted in one city, flee into the next.
Well, we hope this has been a blessing for you. This is part 5 of Esau and Jacob by the Gathering of Christ Church. For more information on the Gathering of Christ Church, you can go to www.gatheringofchrist.org, and you will be in contact with the ministry of the Gathering of Christ Church. I'd like to remind you, for those of you all who are living in the Gulf South here, we have our Knowledge Center open right now. It is the Genesis Movement Knowledge Center located right here in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. For more information on that, you can give us a call at area code 504-484-9388, as well as 601-297-2927, or you can email us at menempoweredtoprosper@yahoo.com. And once again, we are on myspace.com as well as twitter.com, and yours truly, Maurice Herron, is on facebook.com. I'd like to remind you also, we will be here tomorrow night to finish up, as well as take your questions and comments on the broadcast that you've heard tonight, as well as tomorrow night. We will finish up with part 6, 7, 8, and 9 of Esau and Jacob. So we hope this has been a blessing to you. We praise the Most High for this information, and look in and read your Bible. Don't take man's word, but take the Most High's word, and you will be blessed. Until tomorrow night, this is Maurice Herron signing off for the Men Empowered Radio Show. We want to wish you well and shalom wherever you are in Zion. We'll see you in Zion. Good night.